If you know me or you've read my book, The Runaway Housewives of the Appalachian Trail, you probably know that I've been backpacking the Appalachian Trail for the last 8 years. And every time I go out with my other runaway housewives, we always take a map with us. We have this little trail guide and it has maps in it. We take photocopies of it and then we use those to help us out along the trail. And one thing about the trail is it goes north and south. So for most people, maybe it wouldn't be that hard to get lost on, but for somebody like me who once went 100 miles in the wrong direction on the interstate, I could easily get lost on the trail. So I'm Kitty Robinson. I'm a pre-licensed master's level marriage and family therapist, and I love to work with couples to help them find relational wellness. And what I want to talk to you about today is how relationships can be like a map. Couples who really thrive in their relationships tend to have this kind of love map going on with one another. And what that looks like is that they have a map of their partner's inner world. Now that doesn't mean they know everything about their partner, they know how they're feeling, they can read their mind. We're not going there. What that can look like is that partners are responsive to one another, they're engaged with one another. They take time to know each other's interests and cares, concerns, their history, all of those things. You know that the average couple only spends about 6 minutes a week in meaningful conversation? So this idea of having love maps and knowing one another, it actually isn't very common. It may have been common when you're dating and you're not really weighted down by all the cares and concerns and busyness of life. And in my last video, we talked about how the back to school season can really be a stressful time for a relationship, and that we need to be intentional about setting that time aside with our spouse. So today in our video, we're going to talk about these love maps and talk about how we can connect that back to our last video, kind of create a map to it. So one thing we want to realize about maps is that they can change. This particular trail guide that I have is from 2018. It's now 2025, and there's a lot of things on the trail that have changed. Sometimes they have to reroute the trail because of terrain changes. Sometimes there might be a bridge washed out. Sometimes water sources have dried up. And that same thing can happen within us. Just because we've been with someone for a long time doesn't mean that we know everything about them, right? We also know that we change. We're humans, we're evolving, we're growing. And so as a spouse, we want to be responsive to that. We want to stay engaged with our partner and know and understand how their inner world is changing. So having a love map to your partner's inner world is really equivalent to intimacy. And obviously, a lot of us think about sexual intimacy when we hear that word, and that definitely is an aspect of intimacy. But there are other aspects of intimacy, and I love when I've heard someone put it this way, that intimacy is into me see. Can you see into me? Not in the sense that you're reading someone's mind, but can you know the things I like? Can you know what makes me tick? Can you understand my values, even if you don't agree with them, right? And then the other aspect of that with intimacy, into me see. Am I feeling safe enough with you in our relationship that I'm going to open up and let you have access to my inner world? Now, my husband and I have been married for 30 years, and I think it'd be easy at this point in our marriage to say, of course I know him, we've lived together for 30 years, of course I know what she likes, we've lived together for 30 years. Just in the way that that's stated, like, of course I know, I don't need to know anymore. It gives this idea that we've lost curiosity for one another, and we've lost the idea that maps change, people change, we have new experiences. And so if you find as you're hearing this that, well, I've been married a long time, I know my partner, I know what makes them tick, I know what they love, we have that sense of intimacy, that might be a red flag that maybe that's something that's lacking. Because maybe you've lost that curiosity about your partner that you might have had when you were dating. Like, I can't wait to spend time with them, I want to find out about them, what's your favorite food, who is your childhood best friend? When we've lost that sense of excitement about our partner, or just even a desire to get to know them more, and we tune out, we let the busyness of day-to-day life overtake us, then we're really working in a direction that goes opposite of intimacy. We're not working on those love maps. So to connect this with my last video, one of the tips that I gave you on helping to really insulate your marriage or help your marriage thrive during this busy back to school season is to set aside some time for one another. It seems simple enough, but sometimes we have to be reminded. We think that all the things that are so urgent are really the things that are so important, and often they're not. So if you have found a way, or you're working on finding a way to carve out time together, whether it's a quick lunch date, or my favorite is after the kids have gone to bed, spending a few minutes together. More than that, 6 minutes, right? We definitely want to exceed that threshold. Let's all be above average in the amount of time we spend in engaging conversation with our spouses. And one of the ways to do that again here is after those kids go to bed, you have some time together, you can have meaningful conversation with one another. There's actually an app you can download that's put out by the Gottman Institute, those researchers that I mentioned earlier. It's just the Gottman card decks. Now, I can't say that I recommend all the decks in there. There are some that are a bit, they're definitely spicy, and some that are maybe even a little bit more edgy than what I would recommend. But if you download that card deck app, there's one of them that's called Love Maps. And when you tap on it, it's super easy, guys. You just click on it and it pops up a question. It may say something like, who is your partner's best friend as a child? And there's kind of two ways you can use this. You can guess and see if you know it. You think about that Newlywed Game that used to be on decades and decades ago. I definitely only saw it on reruns because I'm not that old. But you can read that question and see if you know it. My husband and I have done this where we try to guess and see if we know it. And if we don't, it's a great time to pause and say, I actually don't even know that. Who was your childhood best friend? We're not just looking for a name and then moving on to the next question. We want to continue asking open-ended questions to get to know each other better, to create those love maps. So if I'm asking, who was your childhood best friend? And he shares that with me, well, what was it about him that made him such a good friend? How did you guys meet? What did you guys like to do together? When's the last time you guys connected? So that's one way that you can use that app, or you can just ask the questions to one another. Who was your childhood best friend? So maybe you're not trying to guess, but you're just asking. Maybe you're holding on to the answer you think you have in your head. Well, I think I know this one, but you tell me, who was your childhood best friend? Now be careful here. We're not trying to pepper each other with questions. It's a fun way to say, hey, do you want to do the Love Maps app today? Pull it out, click on it, ask each other a few questions, maybe even decide ahead of time how many you want to do. So when you start to do this, you really become on the path, you've got the map towards creating a deeper sense of intimacy, that intimacy with your partner. If you have other ideas or ideas of open-ended questions, ways that you and your spouse create that intimacy, that deep connection, those love maps, I'd love to hear it in the comments. So stay tuned, because pretty soon I'm going to be announcing when registration opens for the group couples enrichment class that I'll be offering. It's virtual. It's going to be 2 hours a week, so we're really going to bump up that 6-minute minimum quite a bit. We're going to work on topics like this, dig deeper into them, really help us to get back to that connection or enrich that connection. Now, I hope you'll take some time this week and start making it a habit to connect with your spouse on this level, create those love maps, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.